Charlie Fox Whiskey, do you have the weather at Muskoka and do you know which approach you'd like?
Affirmative, we've got the weather and we'd like the approach to the RNAV runway 36. We received clearance for RNAV runway 36 starting at SASOS.
During my IFR training, I was lucky enough to have several sessions where we flew in real IMC. I'm really thankful I got to do that because I can't imagine having to face instrument conditions for the first time on my own without my instructor sitting next to me. For the most part in these sessions, we would fly off to a nearby airport and encounter IMC along the way and possibly on the approach into that other airport. But then we'd return to Oshawa and get to land in visual conditions.
Alright, read the flight. RNAV 30 at Oshawa. Save altitude is 4,900, MSA is 3,100 all around.
In this video, I'll share a few of these approaches, along with one where we ran into low IFR conditions when coming back to Oshawa and we had to do a go-around for real.
Okay, so back to briefing the flight. 4,900 safe altitude, 100 nautical mile, MSAs are 2,900 all around. The RNAV 27, we're going to approach Igzog. And we'll look to descend to about 3,000 as we get to Igzog, so we want to lose 2,000 feet. So that is 10 miles back.
Roger.
And then as we pass Igzog, we will turn left to heading at 358. Plan to descend at 2,200 on that leg, and then left at Irland to heading at 268, stay at 2,200. We will intercept the glide slope at about 4.8 miles out, descend down, assuming we have LNAV, minimums are 1,140 feet, and then on the missed approach, track runway heading, or maintain runway heading at 268, actually a track of 268, climbs at 2,900 at Edmund, and then contact Toronto again from there.
The destination airport we used most often for our IFR training is Peterborough, CYPQ, which is about 30 nautical miles northeast of my home airport of Oshawa. It's a perfect place to head to for IFR training. It's got a wide 6,000 foot long runway, bright runway lights, and quite often it's socked in with low clouds and mist in the mornings. Even in the afternoons and evenings though, we'd often encounter low clouds, even when Oshawa was severe clear.
Getting ahead of the airplane is all about predictability, so if you are able to predict things and predict performance, once again, that's another way that pros get ahead.
Right.
It's how they make it look like they're doing things very fast, but they look very smooth. It's because they always know the next step.
Yep.
And an amateur will try, and they'll just try and do everything quick.
I just want to make a call. Peterborough traffic, Golf Charlie Foxtrot Whiskey, beginning the RNAV runway 27 approach, anticipate the field in 7 minutes. Peterborough traffic.
Good call.
Are you deliberately trying to distract me to see if I remember?
No, I was just going on.
Okay.
Wind me up, and I just don't go for forever.
In this particular session, we did a longer than usual flight, with approaches into Peterborough, Muskoka, and Lake Simcoe airports before returning to Oshawa, and we got IMC conditions most of the way. It was a great lesson that forced me to brief a bunch of plates along the way, 2 of them at airports I'd never flown IFR to before. Muskoka Airport has a large runway, 150 feet wide by 6,000 feet long, with LNAV approaches on runways 18 and 36. It's up in cottage country with lots of small lakes and rugged terrain that's not very friendly for landing on if anything goes wrong.
Two miles, looking for 1,600, and we are right there.
Nice.
Minimums are 1420.
Roger.
For minimums. Check.
Approaching from the south and with winds from the north, we did a straight-in approach to runway 36. We went missed, and then we turned back south towards Lake Simcoe.
Minimums, don't see it, go around.
Great job. Let's try leveling off for a second, actually. So just hold this. Take your power back a bit.
Okay.
And let's just kind of see what would happen if we leveled off at the MDA, hoping we'd sneak in. So imagine you're still in the clouds, right?
Yeah.
It says 1.5 miles. We go to 1 mile, and maybe now we broke out of the cloud. You could make it, but you'd have to dive it in, right? And that would be unstabilized.
Shop the power.
And if you went all the way to 1/2 mile, which would be coming up in a moment, you're going to see there's no way you'd be able to make it.
Right. Yeah, there's just no way.
So
So why do they even bother putting the missed approach waypoint right at the threshold? Well, let's just...
Because it's an easy point to mark.
Lake Simcoe Airport is just on the western shore of Lake Simcoe, which is about 14 nautical miles across and has one major runway surface with runways 10 and 28.
Lake Simcoe traffic, Golf Charlie Foxtrot Whiskey, 10 miles northeast of the field, beginning the RNAV for runway 28. Anticipate the field in 7 minutes for Golf Charlie Foxtrot Whiskey, Lake Simcoe traffic.
When landing on runway 28, you have to spend a fair bit of the approach over water, which is not terribly reassuring. So we plan to come in a bit higher than the approach plate called for and start the descent further back than we normally would, to give us a bit more of a safety margin.
Yeah, so you could be 4,500 over Uluno.
Yeah.
So in that turn, if you maintain 4, you'll be very quickly having to descend. Now remember, we have no loss for this approach.
Right.
So we will be doing the step downs, and it'll be one continuous descent. So I would go from 35 if you're comfortable with that.
So then basically at 8 miles back, we gotta start to descend. Yeah, I'm good with it, 35.
Cool.
So let's start the descent down.
Yeah, so noting boats and stuff, that might seem a little bit morbid, but I've noted and think that's where I'm going if I have to ditch.
Oh, by the boat? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, gear down and lock. Do the jump smash your prop full forward. Seats and harness secure.
Good on the right.
Secure left. Alright, we are almost at 8.
What descent rate are you going to use?
Is...
Flight plan. You just hit that flight plan button. It'll go back and forth between for you.
Call it 80 so times
400?
5 is 400, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let's start that descent. Now we got LNAV active.
Yeah, LNAV is confirmed.
Lake Simcoe traffic, Golf Charlie Foxtrot Whiskey on a 5-mile final runway 28. To be a missed approach. Lake Simcoe traffic.
And 27 at 5, so we're just slightly low. And there's no risk being a little low. I mean, you just go missed approach sooner. The risk would be that you don't get in at your minimums.
Yeah.
If you were actually in minimums. You could drop down right now if you wanted to 1205 if it was the LPV, or 1380, I guess. In this. Technically, you could level off there, but if you do that on the flight test, you'll get a 2.
Oh, yeah?
You're only allowed so many 2s. They want you to treat an MDA as a decision altitude.
Okay.
So you just go around. Because it's unstabilized to level off. 4 miles and 2280. Perfect. You're exactly on slope.
500 feet to minimums.
Check.
100 feet to minimums.
Check.
Now we're at minimums. Nothing going around.
Roger.
As we headed back to Oshawa on one of these training flights, a low-level cloud layer came in from the north and socked Oshawa in pretty good before we could get back. We flew the LPV approach into runway 12, descended to minimums, and still didn't have contact with the runway, so we had to go around. My first time having to go around for real. Unfortunately, I lost cockpit audio on this flight, so you'll have to make do with my voiceover. At that point, we were thinking we'd have to go up to Lindsay and wait there for the clouds to clear. But, as I've said before, the controllers at Oshawa are terrific. The controller called up and suggested we try runway 5, since the clouds hadn't yet moved south of the airport much, and the approach into that runway might still be clear. So we climbed up from the missed approach on 12 and set ourselves up for the LPV approach over Lake Ontario into runway 5. Given the option, I wouldn't want to be doing that approach under normal circumstances. Flying in a single-engine plane over Lake Ontario to do an approach is a bit nerve-wracking, but this was not a normal situation. Thankfully, all went well, and we broke out of the clouds with time to spare, and were able to land back at Oshawa. During one of my last IFR training flights, we set off on a flight to Peterborough and Lindsay for a couple of approaches. Peterborough went great, but as we were heading toward Lindsay, we started hearing about a significant low cloud deck coming in from the west. We decided to cut our flight short and head back to Oshawa early.
Toronto Center, Golf Charlie Foxtrot Whiskey.
Charlie Foxtrot Whiskey, Toronto.
Hey, we're just thinking of changing the plan. I noticed that weather in City Center and Oshawa, it seems to be getting worse. Any chance we could get back to Oshawa?
Charlie Fox Whiskey, yeah, that's probably a good idea. City Center is, nobody's getting in there. Left-hand turn direct to Oshawa, maintain 4,000.
We'll climb maintain 4,000, left-hand turn direct to Oshawa. Golf Charlie Foxtrot Whiskey, thanks. All right, 235.
235.
And climb maintain 4,000.
And maintain 4,000.
The clouds were moving in quickly enough that Alan thought we might not actually make it back if we flew a full instrument approach. So he suggested we fly directly back to Oshawa and do a visual approach, which would get us down on the ground a lot sooner.
And what are they using? Only 1-2, right?
Yeah, let's listen to see.
This will be one of those days where if it looks like garbage, we might want to go visual approach.
Oh, yeah.
And then that way you get it sooner. But if it looks like we can make it work, we'll. So he'll probably keep us going direct to Oshawa as long as he can, because he knows we're concerned about the weather.
Yeah.
But I mean, what a great situation. I mean, look at this.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry. Worst case scenario, you get somewhere. Yeah.
I found the process of this visual approach really instructive and interesting, so I'll share snippets of it over the next few minutes.
Charlie Fox Whiskey, contact Toronto Terminal on 1334. I think you made a good choice.
Over to Toronto 1334. Thanks, Charlie Foxtrot Whiskey.
You made a good choice.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I mean, we'll get an Oshawa.
Toronto, it's Golf Charlie Foxtrot Whiskey, level 4,100, direct Oshawa.
Golf Charlie Foxtrot Whiskey, Toronto Terminal, ATIS Lima, altimeter 3012, currently advertising the RNAV runway 12.
Charlie Foxtrot Whiskey, yeah, just with that weather creeping in, I was thinking we'd continue direct and hopefully go visual.
Charlie Fox Whiskey, check remarks. Just be advised the latest weather at 20 Zulu, so 37 minutes ago, shows 3 miles in mist, so I'm not sure if that's what you're seeing out there.
Yeah, when we departed, we saw that. It's our home airport. We're pretty comfortable, possibly even a contact approach if we have to get it. But yeah, we continue, get a little closer and take a look.
Okay, and sorry, which runway are you playing that for?
1-2 would work.
Yankee Romeo Whiskey Tower, as much as able, please expedite climb to 3,000 feet. Traffic about 10 miles northeast inbound. Beechcraft Sierra descending out of 3,000 for a visual or contact approach for 1-2.
Expediting climb to 3,000, Yankee Romeo Whiskey.
All right, we're looking good. I like that if they're departing people.
Yeah.
.407.
Charlie Fox Whiskey Airport, 8 miles, 12 o'clock, and there's an aircraft turning northbound 12 o'clock, and about 4 miles, 2700, a Skyhawk.
Charlie Foxtrot Whiskey, Roger, we're looking. I've got the airport in sight.
Okay, Charlie Fox Whiskey, clear visual approach runway 12, contact tower 120.1.
Clear the visual approach, contact the tower 120.1, Charlie Foxtrot Whiskey.
All that glinty stuff, is that the field? Oh, no, that's a highway.
Oshawa Tower, Victor Bravo Victor.
Call Victor Bravo Victor Oshawa Tower.
There's your Walmart, right?
Yep.
Got the hangars in sight in the airport?
Yeah.
Off to the left?
Yep.
Just say you're coming up over the college and positioning for the left base.
Caution now, Golf Charlie Foxtrot Whiskey, coming up over the college and position for left base, runway 12.
Charlie Foxtrot Whiskey Tower, Roger, wind 180 at 5, clear to land, runway 12.
Clear to land, Charlie Foxtrot Whiskey.
All right, we'll get that power right back.
Yeah.
Was your speed okay for the gear there?
Yeah.
150?
Yeah. Up to 150.
Hate to see you rip a gear door off. You can see how having local features would be very important.
Yeah.
Otherwise you wouldn't come off the RNAV approach, right?
That's it for these approaches in IMC. I hope you enjoyed that little recap. After landing, Alan spent several minutes debriefing the entire flight and gave me some pointers for the instrument flight test that was coming up. and I think it was a very helpful and interesting debrief, but I'll leave that for the next video. Thanks for watching. As always, if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the rest of this series. Until next time, fly safe.
Yeah, so what situation would have had to do, or not had, but could we have tried the contact approach?
So you'd have to be very familiar with the field.
If the visibility dropped below
you'd have to have
3 miles.
3 miles of visibility.
So because the visibility was 3 miles, we just did the visual. But if it was 1 mile,
oh yeah, right,
I could have said, oh, I'll just take the contact approach, or less than 3 miles, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, and there's no rush. I mean, we could have just maintained 3200 and overflew the airport if we wanted to, right? And then we could have went to the other initial approach fix.